Hey everybody, it's Kendra. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you've been here before. So my video today is not a beauty video, it is much more of a health and lifestyle video. My video today is all about the Whole30. So you may have seen this book or, something about this online. They also have this as a Kindle edition. I want to talk about the Whole30 because I actually just finished it. So not the book, the actual program. So the Whole30 is basically a 30-day sort of clean eating and lifestyle challenge. And one of the goals is to just sort of reset your habits about what you eat, but also why you eat certain things. Like, am I going for, sugary foods because I'm stressed out, or why am I eating a snack at like 8 p.m., things like that. So it's just sort of, they want you to change what you're eating, but also change your habits and why you're eating certain things. There are a whole host of, physical things that can possibly happen while you're on the Whole30, and we can get into those a little bit later. But that's sort of like the main thing. It's a 30-day clean eating challenge. When I say clean eating, what do I mean? Basically the foods that you want to focus on, meats, fish, lean sort of proteins, vegetables, fruits, nuts, healthy fats, some dried fruit. You don't want to go too heavy on dried fruit because that has a lot of sugar in it. Now, you can also drink coffee, you can also drink tea, but no added sugar. The no-nos, the stuff you want to eliminate for a month: all dairy, all grains, any added sugar. And when I say sugar, I also mean added honey, stevia, agave, no calorie or low calorie sweeteners, anything that's sort of going to trigger this response in your brain, like, sweetness, yay, like we want that. So no added sugars, no alcohol, no legumes. I think that's about everything. So if you are familiar with paleo, it is very similar to paleo. One of the main differences I've found between this and paleo, though, on paleo, you're allowed to eat like muffins or cake or like pizza crust that is made from almond flour or coconut flour or tapioca starch or something like that. But on Whole30, they don't want you to be eating anything, no muffins, no cakes, no cookies, no pizzas, even if it's made with an alternative flour. So this is really focusing on eating whole foods that you're preparing yourself. They also don't really want you to be going crazy with smoothies. They want you to be eating solid food. So I'll get more into food later and like kind of example foods I ate, but why did I do this? Basically, I was exhausted all the time. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was going crazy. I feel like for the better part of this past year, I was exhausted all the time and I was super, super frustrated about it. I went to the doctor. I was trying to explore all of my options. I wanted to know if I had a thyroid problem. I wanted to know if I had Lyme's disease, because I'm from Wisconsin and Lyme's disease is super common there. I was just exhausting all of my options. The doctors looked at me like I was crazy, basically told me I was crazy. I went to an acupuncturist. That didn't seem to help. I was totally on my last straw and I was just tired of being tired. So I thought, okay, what can it hurt? This is just food. I'm just changing the way I'm eating. One of my girlfriends had done the Whole30 a few months ago and she loved it. She raved about it. I actually got kind of tired of talking to her about it before because she talked about it all the time. But anyway, she loved it. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll give that a try. So that was one reason I was exhausted all the time. Also, I just kept breaking out. My skin was just crazy. I know that dairy and grains definitely affect my skin, but I wanted to see for sure, if I really, really strictly eliminated them, what would happen. Other physical sort of problems, I definitely suffer from headaches and migraines sometimes. And if I get a migraine, I am out for at minimum 24 hours. I'm totally messed up, but usually more like 48 hours, possibly 72 hours, depending on the severity. So that's just horrible, to lose 48 hours of your life because of a migraine. My migraines suck and I just feel miserable. And also I guess I just kind of felt a little bit bloated and just not as light and vivacious and effervescent as I could. So those were sort of the health things I wanted to deal with. I also definitely felt like I was having memory problems. I would be in the kitchen and I would, go in the bedroom for something and then I'd get to the bedroom and I'd have no idea why I was there. So I just kind of felt a little bit cloudy, a little bit foggy. There wasn't any really severe sort of physical problem, no diseases or conditions or anything, but just kind of this general general like overall feeling of just like blah, just being kind of blah. So did the Whole30 for all of November. I did it with my husband, which was really helpful because, you know, we were sort of in it together and we could support each other. He would send me photos of food from his company at lunch, and I'd be like, okay, good job, you know, like make sure you eat enough, blah, blah, blah. So it was really nice to do it with someone, just to have that support. Okay, so let's talk about my actual Whole30 experience. Now, before I started this, you know, I bought the book probably 10 days before we decided to start it. I read most of the book. I looked through a lot of the recipes. So this is like your whole like Whole30 Bible. It talks all about the program and also reintroducing food when it's done. And then it has a ton of recipes in it, and the recipes were so good. I was constantly shocked when I would eat these foods and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually good. I expected the recipes to suck. I was totally skeptical of the whole program. So that's kind of why I'm doing this video, because I really thought it was awesome and I want to like talk about why. So I did buy the book about 10 days in advance, and I took those 10 days to really plan and prep. Read the book. I bought myself like a little marker board, and I glued magnets to it. It's a little like marker board calendar. Glued magnets to it, put it on the fridge, and basically I would write, you know, what we were gonna eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner. That helped me organize, you know, when I would buy groceries and what we would need and how we could use leftovers and like sort of make, you know, leftovers work for some other sort of dish. It just helped me be super, super organized with this. So yeah, it took about 10 days to prep for it and figure out what we were gonna do. I did buy a few new like kitchen sort of things, like a garlic press and like a lemon juicer squeezer thing, just a few sort of things to make this whole thing a bit easier, because the Whole30, you are going to be cooking a lot. That was one of the main things I felt in November. I felt like all I did was cook. I felt like there were days I was in the kitchen for like 3 or 4 hours. Usually my Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, I would be in the kitchen for a good 3-4 hours, like just doing a lot of prep for the next few days. Now, when we started this, day one felt totally fine. I felt like mentally sort of overwhelmed, but physically I felt fine. Day two, a little bit tired. Day three, oh my gosh, I was a hot mess. I woke up, had a horrible headache, went back to bed, like took some Advil, went back to bed, felt horrible. I was a hot mess on day three. There was a book club I went to. Oh my gosh, everybody must have thought I like sucked and I was just like a miserable human being because I couldn't concentrate. I just felt horrible. No energy, grumpy, not a nice person. Felt a little bit like that on day 4. And then I would say after like day 5 and sort of getting into like, you know, day 5 to 10, I started feeling better, started having a little bit more energy, wasn't so headachy. It definitely took some time to get into the routine of what we were eating and this whole thing. But I would say after a couple weeks, I was pretty accustomed to it. I think the only thing for me, it was sort of like, okay, what are we cooking today? So yeah, I would say after week 2, it started to become kind of second nature, started to become kind of normal. One thing that was weird that they do mention in the book that will probably happen, I started having these crazy dreams about food. Like I would be with a friend and then I would start eating chips and then suddenly I'd be like, no, I'm on the Whole30, and I would spit out all my chips, or like I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna have some wine, and then I would like spit out all the wine, stuff like, it's still very strange sort of dreams. It definitely had a lot of Whole30 dreams. That was very, very bizarre. I learned a ton about cooking. I felt like before this, I didn't know anything about meat or like cuts of meat or marinating meat or anything with meat. I was just totally stupid about. I still don't feel like an expert about meat, but I definitely feel like I learned something. I also learned, you know, I can make mayonnaise now. I'm pretty good at making guacamole. I've made my own ketchup. I've started making beef jerky, like Whole30 compliant beef jerky. So I feel like I was just really, you know, introduced to this whole new world of food and cooking and everything. Okay, so what did we eat, for example? Usually in the morning for breakfast, I would have black coffee. And yes, I do drink coffee now. I feel like I couldn't drink coffee for a couple years. because it hurt my tummy, but now I'm totally fine, like knock on wood, and I love it. So yeah, I would have coffee, and then I would also make this sort of like baked egg veggie sort of dish. So we would do that, you know, we'd have that every morning. And then lunch would usually be like a salad, maybe some, you know, grilled chicken, or like a can of tuna, maybe some avocado, some nuts, lemon juice, olive oil, that sort of thing. Dinner could possibly be like, you know, like beef or chicken or pork or something, and then maybe like sweet potatoes and like a salad or something. The goal is not to starve yourself. You do not want to starve yourself. You want to make sure you're eating enough. You just want to be eating enough of the right sort of thing. What about snacks? You can snack, and I mean, they really want you to be eating enough at each meal to sort of last you to the next meal. But if you need to eat a snack, like that's totally fine. Some snacks we would sometimes eat, you know, like carrots and guacamole, or maybe an apple with almond butter, or maybe like some cashews and a piece of fruit, something like that. Okay, so now that the Whole30 is done, like what have I noticed? Like what are the physical changes that I have noticed? First of all, my tummy is like so much flatter. I never realized how bloated I was before, but now I just feel like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've got a really flat stomach. It's awesome. So definitely noticed that. Also, I feel like before, like my waist was more kind of like straight down, but now I feel like I have more of like a curve, which is really cool. I remember after maybe 2 weeks, I started noticing this, and I like went and showed my husband. I'm like, oh my God, I have curves. I hardly had any headaches during the month. One thing that was actually very interesting on day 31, you know, when we were officially done with the Whole30, I ate 2 tiny bits of chocolate, like not even a full square of, you know, dark chocolate. The next day I had the worst migraine. It was horrible. I totally blame it on eating the chocolate. So it was really amazing to see how my body reacted when I was like trying to reintroduce something. So didn't really have any headaches or migraines while I was doing the Whole30, but boom, the minute I ate chocolate, like, well, not the minute, but like 12 hours after, oh my God, I felt horrible. I definitely feel like I am not so cloudy. I feel like I can concentrate better. Also my skin is starting to clear up. I do feel like my skin is going to take probably like another month or 2 to like be fully sort of healed, which is fine because I'm continuing to do the Whole30 anyway. Like I'm not just stopping after 30 days. But yeah, so my skin definitely, I feel like I'm breaking out less, and it's just everything's like slowly starting to clear up. Okay, and what about reintroducing foods? So for me, I don't really plan to reintroduce any dairy because I know dairy is like the big no-no for me and my skin. My skin, honestly, this was one of the biggest reasons I did this. So I just don't want to, you know, like waste that 30-day period I did and go back to eating dairy. I don't really miss dairy. I don't know, sometimes I do miss a little cheese, but not too much. So don't really plan to reintroduce dairy. I don't really plan to reintroduce too many grains, possibly some brown rice, possibly some quinoa. I was never a big like bread fan to begin with, or pasta fan to begin with. So possibly like now and then some quinoa or some brown rice. But there's not really any food that I didn't eat during the Whole30 that I really feel like it's super, super necessary to reintroduce. I guess after 30 days, I just don't really have many cravings. I don't really miss anything. And also just after that experience of eating that chocolate and having that miserable migraine, I just don't really think it's worth it to try to reintroduce stuff that I don't actually miss. I do miss wine a little bit, and that is one thing I am a little bit nervous about because, you know, I like to have a little glass of wine here and there with like, you know, holiday meals or when friends come to visit. So I am kind of nervous about trying to reintroduce wine to see if it gives me a headache or a migraine and just if I'm totally like hungover feeling for a couple days. But yeah, as far as reintroducing stuff, I don't plan to reintroduce a lot just because I feel really, really good now and I don't want to eat something that's going to make me feel like crap. So what's the point? Okay, so some other resources I did use during the Whole30, of course, the internet. There are a million Whole30 recipes online. There are a million paleo recipes online. I do have a couple paleo cookbooks I want to quickly mention. This one, the Zen Belly cookbook, this one was pretty decent. I had gotten that this summer, but it was perfect. There were plenty of Whole30 compliant recipes in that. I also have this one, Mediterranean paleo cooking. This one's pretty decent. I didn't use this one as much. And then I recently picked up Nom Nom Paleo. I know I can find all these recipes online, but I just really love cookbooks and I really love having a physical cookbook. But I would say though, if you want to do this, I would say just get the Whole30 book. That has everything you need in it. Okay, so let's wrap this up because I feel like this has already been way, way, way too long. Basically, the Whole30, it's not a diet. It is a lifestyle change. I feel great. I feel like this experience made me so much more aware of just everything related to food, like where we're getting food from and why, and just the quality of food, why I'm eating certain things, and why am I choosing to put certain things in my body, even if that's like not necessarily what like my body needs as fuel. Also, I definitely spent a ton of time on this. This is not an easy task. It takes a lot of time to source good ingredients. You know, where I live, there is a Whole Foods, a Trader Joe's, a Safeway, there's Target. I usually get most of our groceries at Trader Joe's. Sometimes I will stop at Whole Foods for certain cuts of meat, but I try to get as much as I can at Trader Joe's because it's just so much more affordable. So I feel great. I feel like this was such a good thing for me to do. I think it was really good for my husband too. As you know, my husband is French, and when I first met him, he was super, super skinny, but then he moved to America and he developed a little bit of a tummy. So he's definitely lost some of that tummy. I feel like a couple more months on Whole30 would not kill him, and would help him, you know, lose even more of that tummy. So yeah, there you go. That is my Whole30 experience. I feel like I could talk about so many other things. If you are interested in doing this, please let me know. If you have any questions, please comment below. I think this is a really, really great lifestyle program, but you know what? It's your choice. Do it if you want it. If you don't want to, whatever. I'm not going to convince anybody. But I had a very, very good experience, and I just wanted to share that. So anyway, have a fabulous weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.